for one of these baby ones. That's the one. That's the one right there.
Got some Zerjoff fragrance on today. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but that's the fragrance of the day. Let's go for a ride. Okay, last episode we talked about my first two-wheel motorized vehicle, which was a Honda Elite scooter, and it was awesome, and I highly recommend people new to motorcycles to, when they're that age, to do that, because it gets them, they won't learn shifting and they won't learn interstate speeds, but they'll learn a lot about balancing a two-wheel motorized vehicle in and through traffic, and that's great. It's priceless. I had that for a couple of years. Today I'm going to talk about the 4 motorcycles I had. It's kind of for me, but I hope you enjoy it too. I am curious to learn how people got started on motorcycles and how they evolved, and whether you guys are weird like me and kept decreasing engine size. So let me know. In '95, I got my friend's Yamaha Seika 750. It's also called, I think, the XJT 750 or something like that. I don't know. I think it was a 1984. I'll flash a picture of what it looked like. Gray, black trim. I would call it a sport, certainly a sport bike. It was an inline 4, so this thing could rev. It was a shaft drive, if you care about that. I didn't care or notice back then. And I don't know how much it weighed, but horsepower I think was, this was a decent, I don't know, man. I think it may have been high 80s. It was not a slow bike. I don't think it had a windscreen. It did have a digital dash, which was interesting for an 84. My buddy bought that from one of his dad's friends, and then he upgraded to a 900 Seika. My friend Mike did, which was a red bike. It was really cool. He had his senior pictures taken with it. I mean, he was kind of the coolest guy in the class. Nobody had a motorcycle. Mike had one. It was awesome. We graduated. He buys that bike, sells me his 750. And for the spring and early summer, that's what I rode. I don't have any, I have one memory of it where I think my first street ride with my buddy, he's on his 900, I'm on the 750. We're going through some of the, heading toward Greenwood, heading south, and I dumped it. I learned very quickly what gravel is to a motorcycle. It was around a corner, and we joked that because I hit that patch, the bike fell on its side, and it scooted across a metal rail guard, and I was surfing on the bike, and the rail guard was the waves. I did not get hurt. I don't think I was going fast at all. The bike flooded, so we had to wait about 10 minutes to start it up and head home. But that was my first experience crashing a motorcycle. I don't have any other specific memories of that bike. Most people that know me don't even remember that bike. They think of the next bike, which I will talk about at some point. Awesome first bike. I have very fond memories of being 18, man, and alive on a motorcycle. I had a girlfriend that laid it down. I was talking to some friends the other day about some of these old memories. Yeah, she wanted to ride it in her neighborhood, and I remember Mike and I were like, yeah, I don't think so. This is not a scooter, man. This is not easy for anybody just to get on and start riding. They're heavy, you gotta shift gears, and if you've never done that, don't punch above your weight. And I think she got about 20 feet before she dumped it, and I guess she hurt her leg. One of my friends says that she remembers the leg injury, so sorry about that if you're listening. Those are the only two vivid memories I have. Is two dumps, one by me, one by her. Maybe there's a scar. I don't know. The wound heals, but the scar remains. That's poison. Every rose has its thorn. So I sold that bike to my buddy Mac that summer, and I bought. This was in the same conversation where we remembered that girl dumping the gray bike. My other friend Mike, who had the 900, he says, "I remember when you got that bike, Josh, when you got that Honda CBR 600 F2, and you called me from the dealership, which was, it's always fun to talk to old friends who can tell you like things that you forgot or just don't remember. It's like discovering a missing page from your journal." He said, "You called me from the dealer, man." And I said, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, you were with your dad co-signed for you." And I remember thinking to myself, this is a terrible idea. Now, why was that a terrible idea? It's because I was a pretty volatile, impulsive and immature, wild, reckless young man. I was really a boy. My peers were adults, I was a boy. But I did get that bike, and I got that bike at the end of July. I'll flash a picture of that one. And I had, aside from the wreck, which ended my motorcycle riding for 15 years, I mean, not intentionally, just got married and had kids after that, and, you know, grew up and didn't want to ride. But aside from that crash, in late August, early September, I have really, really good memories of that bike. Man, there's something about the purr, the sweet symphony of an inline four. I remember going out to the garage, and I would start that, push that button, that electric starter sound, and then the purr. Oh, it's so good. I remember one night specifically. I don't know why. The things I have forgotten and the things I have remembered are really bizarre and not rational. I have forgotten so many things that I should remember. But I remember little details like I had Levi silver tab jeans on, and I had this Michigan Wolverine sweatshirt. And I think I had my helmet on. And I was just cruising by myself. I went to go see a friend. I just remember the ride there on the summer. Just imagine an 18-year-old boy riding an awesome motorcycle on a cool summer evening with a sweatshirt. Man, it was great. I totaled that bike. I told you my dad co-signed for me. Really stupid decision. Mike was right about that. I co-signed for me and I wrecked it. Just about 5 weeks later. About 5 weeks later, I had that bike. The coolest bike a kid could want. I mean, now I had the coolest bike, and I had it for just a month, and totaled it. And did not ride for 15 years. I guess I can talk about the next bike I had, which was 15 years later. That was the Kawasaki Vulcan 500. I got that one used from a guy on Craigslist. Great bike, no dumps, good gas mileage. 500 was more than sufficient for the highway. It was a very comfortable bike. Honestly, more comfortable. I don't ever remember back pain. A comfortable cruiser seat. You're sitting back and down rather than straight up and high off the ground on this adventure bike. But I did not have that bike for a full year. I talked previously about how I sold it because of my status in life at the time was young. I had young children. You know, I was probably 34. I had 4 kids, 6 and under. It's not worth it. So I remember telling myself later, you know, middle age, when I start to get empty nest syndrome, maybe that's the time to do this. So I now have partial empty nest syndrome. I have 1 kid that's gone, married. My youngest is 16, has a couple years of high school left. So I'm back on the bike. When I was shopping around for this last bike here a couple months ago, I was looking at the Royal Enfield Scram 411. The Honda Shadow 500 seemed pretty cool. What else was I entertaining? The Suzuki Boulevard 400. I was not entertaining a Kawasaki Versys 300. I hadn't even crossed my mind. I don't know why. But I saw this deal in Greenwood. It was red. It was awesome. So I went up there, got it. I'm glad I did. It's actually more capable on the highway, which I take frequently, than the Shadow 500 would have been probably better. But the 411 would have struggled a little bit at 70. But this thing is more than capable, even though it's a smaller displacement. This is a 298 parallel twin. It's geared and designed to rev high and to handle the highway speeds fairly easily. You can't really overtake somebody that quickly. You can, but this is not. You have to be thoughtful about your overtakes, is how I would put it. You can't just twist the throttle. Well, thanks for riding along today. How did you guys get started in motorcycles? What bikes do you ride? What has your evolution of bikes been like? And do you associate certain bikes with certain memories and eras and chapters in your life? I'd like to know. What style do you ride? Do you have a scenic route to work if you ride to work? Where are y'all? Take care. Don't do it, bud. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. It wasn't a bud, was it?